Energon Megatron, because why not? Now, this guy, yeah. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised to find that I have no connection to Energon as a piece of media. I have no connection to Energon Megatron as a toy. So I'm coming at the new Legacy Core Class Energon Megatron as just, I thought he looked kind of neat, and it's a Megatron, so I can add him to the Megatron shelf. And he's this. He's a somewhat odd-looking, but also cool space thing. Got a little bit of a slightly SR-71 silhouette in terms of like the kind of pinched and extended cockpit area. Not cockpit, but you know what I mean, like this whole section. I don't know what that's called on a plane. But got that. I like the swept down wings, which can be adjusted to go up more or down more. I'm more doing this to show that they can go down all the way if you want them to be. You've got this accessory on top, which is just straight up a tank with a sword sticking out of the back end. So just tabs in using these two tabs here and these little slots on the bottom, and it's molded nicely and has 0 paint on it, and we'll look at that more when we get to robot mode. Something that does kind of bum me out about this guy is he doesn't really hold together super great in vehicle mode. Like this piece here is supposed to rotate for the transformation, and it frictions in place well enough, but like I really could have done with like a little bit of a soft locking point to make sure it's straight in either mode. And like you might be able to see that like these bits in the front here aren't really lined up. They just tend to not quite line up right. These bits down here don't really tab in like they're supposed to. These leg sections do tab into the shoulders, but like they don't, just nothing holds in super well. Like he's holding together, as you can see, but it's just, there's just so much wiggle room because of the ball joints and the sockets and the shoulders and stuff that it's a little bit irritating. But it does what it needs to. Colors are nice. I like the neon highlighter green and the lightish blue. But then you get a little bit of added color in a few more places too, like this gray, the darker kind of brownish gray for some parts, and then you even get a little bit of silver in a couple of places. The color separation in the vehicle mode is pretty nice for what it is, and it just looks like an awkwardly folded up robot, but you know, it's a core class Energon Megatron figure. I don't really know what else we could ask of it. And that's about all I can say about this. Sorry about I'm going to be doing like a cough, clear throat thing every now and then, because I mentioned this in the last video, but I am recovering from the sickness, and you know, I'm okay. Pardon. I'm doing all right now, but it's taken me a while to get over the last of this bit. So I still have a little bit of a gunk in my head, which sucks, but whatever. Anyway, size-wise, it's a core class figure, so it's pretty much exactly what you expect. He's small. It's core class. And the box there. Let's see how it measures up there. He does look a little bit big for a core class figure, but I think a lot of that has to do with just how it all spreads out. And also, there's a lot of nose cone here. But he is core class. I don't think there's any mistaking that. Actually, we get Burnout out of the way here and bring in a different core class figure. Different core class Megatron, actually. And you can see that he's pretty on par with G2 Megatron. You know, there's maybe a little bit wider at the base, like a little bit wider of a footprint in vehicle mode, but it doesn't, it's not quite as high up. So it's a toss-up any way you look at it. Not that I have any horse in this race. I don't know. You know, he's a core class. I'm fine with him being smaller. I'm fine with all of this. It's just for anyone who's curious. Anyway, here he is with the duck tank. All right, transforming time. But before we do, I'm remembering to do this now. If you like this video for some reason, or any of the videos that I've done on the channel for some reason, and you want to support the channel for some reason, I do have a Patreon. It's a single $1 tier. That $1 a month gets you early access to new videos, in addition to access to the occasional Patreon-only video that I make. Otherwise, I also have a coffee, if you don't want to do the subscription thing. Links for either of those things will be at the end of the video, as well as down in the description. Or if you want to support the channel without money, which I also understand, you can always like, comment, share, subscribe, you know, typical YouTube stuff. Now to transform Megatron. Going to fold up the wings. And to untab the legs from the shoulders here. Just kind of bring these out of the way. Now, this is something I do. I actually use the hips a little differently because I feel like it makes things a little bit more stable. So I'm going to bring this down and then rotate this around like that. But if you want, you can just, like, instead of rotating the hip out like this, you can just go up like that, fold this back around, and tab that into the shoulder there, so you got the ball joint facing back like that. It's just how I prefer to do it. I feel like it shores things up a little better. But anyway, do that, and then flip out the feet / heels. There is that. I'm going to take the arms here and rotate them around 180 degrees at the elbow / bicep. These just kind of stay pegged. But again, like, these tabs just don't stay in. Cannot get these to stay, no matter what I do. And it is a little bit irritating. And you can see that there are little, like, tabs and slots in the armpit there. It just doesn't want to stay. Anyway, I take this entire backpack assembly and rotate it around 180 degrees. And you can just kind of situate the arms and legs a bit more. I'm going to take the nose cone section, pop that out, it just tabs in right here, so pop that out, swing this around, and that just rests against the back, it doesn't peg in or anything. And then rotate the head around 180 degrees, and there we've got Energon Megatron in robot mode, and it's a cute little Megatron. You can, of course, do things with the shoulder pylons too. You can leave them up, but I, of course, prefer to unpeg them. They just peg in right up here, so unpeg them, move them so that the little tab there can peg in, and that gives you the pointing forward pylon gun thing. Or if you want, you can use them as gun accessories and plug them into his hand, theoretically. Haven't actually tried this yet because I just don't care, but it is really snug. It doesn't seem to want to... There we go. So yeah, you can plug that in like it's a little pistol, and I don't like it, so I'm just going to keep that plugged into his shoulder like that. But yeah, that's Energon Megatron. You can angle these wings differently if you want. I prefer to keep them like this. You got a bit more of that wingspan there, but you got options. It's whatever you want to do. He's a cute little Megatron. I like him. He's simple, gets the job done. I mean, he's a core class, so of course it's going to be simple and get the job done, but it looks good. I do think that here there's a lot more paint that's noticeable. I mean, you do get plenty in the vehicle mode, and some of it is shared in robot mode, but like all this stuff gets hidden, which is fine. I mean, it's weird that they painted this bit silver on the outside of the wing, but then left it green on the inside here. Maybe that's an accuracy thing. Pardon. Maybe it's just a budgetary thing. I don't know. But it looks fine either way, I think. You got some nice blue around the base of the legs and the shins. Blue in the very, very Galvatron abs, like torso section. And blue for the very, very Galvatron head crest. And then this dark blue for the fists, which I don't think that dark blue shows up. Nope, that dark blue does not show up anywhere else on the figure. So that's an interesting choice. There's probably a reason for it, but that is what it is. Now, for the head, as I mentioned, it's got a very Galvatron crown. He's a little bit grumpy and stern looking, which I think works. I also like that they did separate out the face by painting it white, just because it separates it out from the gray plastic more. It also makes the red for the eyes pop pretty well. And the blue just matches the blue elsewhere, the lighter blue elsewhere on the figure. Now, for articulation, the head just rotates, but it can rotate all the way around. The inside of the head is completely empty, so all the more reason to say it's like Galvatron. I don't know. The shoulders are on ball joints, which I think is part of the problem here. As you can see, they get a little bit of a wiggle here, and I think that's part of the problem I'm having with the transformation to vehicle mode, because since these don't really tab in super securely, even when they're plugged in, they can still kind of wiggle around and throw things off. But they're on ball joints, so they can go out that far. And it's not the gun getting in the way, it's the actual shape of the shoulder getting in the way there. They can rotate around, kind of. Like untab this and kind of get this rotated around partially. That tab just does impede the articulation quite a bit, which I don't know. Is that tab even necessary? It doesn't really do its job for the vehicle mode, so maybe it's worth shaving off. I don't know. But anyway, you can kind of go around in like a 180-degree arc awkwardly. Got the ball jointed elbow, so you can bend in past 90, and it also functions as a bicep rotation, functionally. There is no waist swivel, which I think is understandable considering how this whole assembly is done. But you do get ball-jointed hips, so they can kick forward to about 90, back about that far, out to a little bit past 90. Got dedicated thigh swivels, like because of transformation. You've got single knee that can actually bend quite a bit. It kind of tabs in when it's straightened out here, but it's easy enough to just tab it to bend. It gives you a bit of a gap, but it's a core class. And it goes to about here before it kind of stops. There's like a little bit of plastic rubbing up on plastic. If you push past that, you'll feel it kind of click past it. But if you push past that, then you can bend in even further. And it's a bit loose, but it gets the job done. And then the feet can wiggle up and down. You don't get any tilt or anything like that, but it's fine for what it is. Again, he's core class, so I'm not super bothered by it. He is not exactly a, not a new age figure or anything like that. But he can look pretty good just standing there with like a little bit of a head tilt, a little bit of, angling the feet forward just a little bit more so they're not quite straight. And then the tank accessory thing, there's just a little hole on the bottom there that you can plug into either arm. So you can plug this in to give him the cannon, I guess. Personally, I prefer to do it this way, both because of I think it mixes things up a bit to give him a sword, but also like more than anything, when you plug this in, the tank sits so far forward it's kind of weird. Whereas when it's rotated around this way, tank goes back more, and I think that just looks better. So that is how I've got that situated. And yeah, that's about all I can say about Energon Megatron. But he does look cool. He's, he's not my favorite core class figure to mess with, but he is fun. He's got a lot of really decent articulation. He doesn't quite hold a candle to G2 Megatron's articulation, but he's still fun for what he is. And speaking of, let's move on to size comparisons so we can do that comparison with core class G2 Megatron. So there we've got Energon Megatron, and keep in mind again core class, so he's a short fellow. So Prime, Samus, and we'll bring in Burnout here. You can see he's core class. He is just a little guy. But I don't know. I'm not like a major Legend scale, Legion scale, etc. collector or anything like that. But I have to admit, I do get a decent amount of fun from just these simplistic but still kind of impressive for being so simplistic little core class figures. I like them. And there he is with G2 Megatron, and G2 Megatron has a little bit more going on engineering-wise, realistically, but still cool. Also, I think G2 Megatron still kind of wins out because you can do that thing that I like doing where you can kind of fudge the transformation just a bit to make him a little bit more dynamic. And I think that really goes a long way to making this guy the the better of the two. Which again is not to say that this guy's bad, but you can just get more dynamic with this guy if you start playing around with his transformation joints a bit. Energon Megatron really doesn't have that because all of his robot mode joints are part of the transformation. The only thing for the transformation that's not a part of the robot is like the nose cone and the wing rotation. So it's just like, yeah. He's a fun little figure, but I feel like maybe they didn't get as clever with his engineering as they could have, at least not compared to some other core class figures. Anyway, here he is with the Duck Tank. And that does it for Legacy core class Energon Megatron. I do like him. He is far from my favorite core class figure, but he's also not a bad core class figure at all. Like, there's nothing about him that makes me want to get rid of him. I wouldn't call him the worst core class figure I've handled. He's just kind of passable in my mind. Like, he looks great. He's fun enough to mess with. It's just the alt mode doesn't hold together super well, and as great as he looks, you can't really do anything fun with him if you go off script, like you can with, the Tank Megatron, whether it's the G2 version or the Kingdom version. And that does kind of disappoint me a little bit. I'd put him more on par with, Legacy Shockwave, core class Legacy Shockwave, and that, it gets the job done, looks pretty good, but there are just no surprises. Not really. But that is enough about what I think of this guy. What do you all think of the Legacy core class Megatron, core class Energon Megatron? I would not be mad at all if they decided to, if they were testing the waters here with Energon interest and then decided to do a bigger, maybe Voyager or Leader class Energon Megatron in the future. I'd be down for that. But whatever your thoughts on this or that or whatever else, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching. And I'm still going to try and keep it relatively simple for the next video, but for the sake of my own recovery, but it's not going to be a tiny guy we look at next time.